something that we're very, very excited about on this show is Trump announcing he was going to go on Joe Rogan. So he actually broke the news on the Nelk Boys. Elon Musk was talking about it, and he said that Trump is going to go on Joe Rogan, and obviously Elon Musk, very strong ties to Joe.
And Trump.
Yeah, and Trump. Right now, especially. But Trump went on Nelk, and he did a podcast. It was like 40 minutes. It was good.
Right.
But he confirmed that he was actually going to go on Joe Rogan. So take a listen.
I would love to see you on I think Joe Rogan has to have you on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Oh, sure I would.
I think Joe, besides us, Joe's
I think I'm doing it, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you are going to do Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I am.
Joe Rogan's the best in the game, for sure. And I think,
Did Joe become so well known because of the UFC? And he does a great job with that, right? What was it that made Joe the best?
During COVID, he was very outspoken on all the corruption going on during COVID. And I think that's personally when I started watching him a lot, too. And he's an honest guy, too, right?
He is.
So I think...
Good guy.
Good guy. And I think you guys together would just
And he's got a good voice. That's important.
Yeah. You're doing a lot of podcasts recently. One that I would love to see you on is, I think Joe Rogan has to have you on.
All right, so real quick.
I just wrote it down because it was a joke of, trying to kind of put all the ties together. Has John Daly been on an episode of Joe Rogan? I think he has.
If he has, it was a while ago, I think.
I want to say that he might have, even if he didn't. I look at all the ties around Joe Rogan. He had Kid Rock on. He obviously works for the UFC, which is owned by Dana White. Kid Rock, Dana White, both one of Trump's best friends. And then you have Elon Musk, who Joe Rogan has had on a few times. And Elon Musk has, I think Joe and Elon, they've both advocated for each other. They've both kind of made they've never degraded each other in the public eye.
Oh, no, they're very good friends.
Right.
Very good
so
friends.
Then I feel like there's just this weird, tension between everybody of hey, get Trump to sit down with Joe. What?
But you know why? Joe's a liberal.
Joe is a liberal.
He's an old school liberal, and he said before, this is way back, I believe 2020. I mean, he's had Bernie Sanders on, right? But he said he didn't want to bring an audience to that guy, and he didn't want to support Donald Trump.
He said that on Lex Friedman, yeah.
Right. Because of obviously everything that's gone on with Trump. Trump is a divisive figure. He's very polarizing. He said he didn't want to play into toxic tribalism.
Yeah.
But with everything that's happened on the left now, more and more and more stuff, and him and Michael Malice in particular, I think it was Michael Malice, but it's been more people obviously too. Yeah. They completely trash Kamala, completely trash her because of her stance against free speech. And especially Joe too, during 2020, 2021, the vaccine mandates, Kamala was right there pushing a vaccine against people's will. And so Joe Rogan was the big voice against all that stuff and for freedom. Yeah. He is one of the true Americans that we have in media right now. And we're a better world for him. But I think it's really telling. And it was only bound to happen, man.
Right, I agree.
And so something I want to play for you too, because I thought this was very interesting. This is Patrick Bet-David a year ago, almost a year ago. And he was saying, and Patrick Bet-David has a background in insurance, right? Selling insurance. And so here's his sales. He puts on a salesman hat here, and he grills Joe basically. Tells him, you're going to interview Trump, and here's what's going to happen. What questions are you going to ask? You're the perfect guy. So we're going to play this also for you guys, and then we'll react to everything. Here we go.
So when are you having Trump on?
I don't know.
Okay. The look.
I don't know. Maybe.
Looks like you got something.
Maybe.
Okay, good. That's good. I think that's...
look, at a certain point in time, it's just it would be interesting to hear his perspective on a lot of things. I would like to know, what is it like when you actually get into office? I would like to know things like, what is it like versus perception?
Yeah.
What is it actually like when you get in that building? What are you greeted with? When do you know that people are fucking with you? When do you know that the intelligence agency is lying to you? When you decided to fire Comey, what was the thought? How much did you know? What's the machine like? What is the deep state really like? Because we have all these, smoky room perceptions, like from the Bill Hicks joke, where they show you the Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. What is the machine that runs this country? Because it's very clear that it's not as simple as elected representatives that are doing the will of the people.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, and that's the beauty of having Joe Rogan interview Donald Trump down the line is Joe, I feel like, speaks Joe's brain is wired like 90% of males on this planet, where it's like he's going to ask the questions that, okay, in this situation right now where we're at, a couple, what is it? How many days till election day?
Bro, we got
15.
like 15.
15. So
shit.
So they're going to what?
Shit, we have 15 days until 14 when you guys hear this.
Yeah.
14 days until election.
Yeah,
Shit.
It's crazy.
Oh, sorry, continue on. My fault.
But no, you're good. What I was saying is there's so many questions and topics that were asked with every Trump interview that he was on, and it's ultimately just Trump trying to sell himself to get into the White House, which I feel like could be the issue, but also could be the benefit of Trump going on Joe Rogan. And what I mean by that is Joe is going to ask him questions about the reality of what is it like to be president.
And nobody has ever asked him that.
Nobody really wants to know that right now, because everybody interviewing him just wants him to talk and talk about what he's going to do with the economy, what he's going to do with his policies, wants to hear him trash Kamala, do those different kind of things, where it's like, okay, in reality, like, I feel like Joe is going to ask a lot of questions that we didn't necessarily think to ask.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Bet-David was probably the closest on this. Schultz did too, though, on Flagrant 2.
Yeah.
They did good, and PBD recently had him on a couple days ago. And
they both did good, but nobody asked him about the cabal. Nobody asked him about the deep state. Did PBD?
PBD did. He said, is anybody more powerful than the president? He said, who's behind everything? And Trump basically said that the president has all the power. But that was it.
It's wrong.
Kind of shut it down. Yeah, it's wrong.
Yeah.
So I want to see Joe really grill him, because PBD didn't grill him.
Right.
It was a good interview, but PBD didn't grill him. Joe will grill him. Jordan Peterson talked about this.